What is up, Smack Empire? SmackNPie here, back again with another Dark Deception video. Today we're going to take a look at Chapter 4's powers and how they work and make some theories regarding that, future levels. Also, if you guys could do me a huge favor and vote in the cards up there what type of content you would like to see on this channel in the future. Theories, explanation, tips, tricks, such as how to get S rank and other videos or all of them. Make sure to vote right now in the poll up in the cards. Again, thank you for your support. Now let's get on with the video. Before we get to actual Chapter 4 powers, we need to understand what does these powers do in this game, how they work, and what are the significance of these powers besides using them in-game environment. This is Beerus's place. Everything around here, ballroom, everything we possess right now belongs to Beerus. She's the only one who helped us with powers in all the levels and all chapters. Malak, on the other hand, is not so much polite with us in these terms. Obviously, he doesn't want us to become a trouble for him and his hell. However, that does not mean that Beerus is a good person either. Well, at least that's what we're learning here slowly. All these portals means something that involves Beerus, Malak, and us, the player. We're trying to fulfill our desires, but just because Beerus is helping us doesn't mean there's nothing in this for her. I want you to imagine something. So far we have power boost, teleportation, telepathy, primal fear, and so many more yet to come, all thanks to Beerus. If she's giving all these powers to us, what about her own powers? It's not that she's giving us all these powers yet doesn't possess all of these herself. This is her world after all. That's why Malak can't enter her areas. She wants us to collect those ring pieces so that she can become powerful with each ring piece. And since with our help she's becoming powerful and she will fulfill our desires, all of them. But surviving these portals nightmares requires more than just running and hiding. Hence powers comes into play. These powers are not only there for game design purpose, but each power represents some story behind each portal that we have faced. From monkey business all the way to crazy Karn evil. Powers such as teleportation and primal fears shows that Beerus is not an ordinary person. And since this is her world, and since each portal represents the nightmare and past history that we have lived, it's only fair to say that this story is going towards Beerus and Malak's cultish ritual practices, something that they're actively working on with the person who's fighting for his life and death. That is why some of these powers might not make any sense in the real world, but they do in her world. Primal fear, for example, which is the most interesting one in this entire game thus far story-wise, shows that our character has had issues with fears when it comes to clowns and all of the things that level 2 of chapter 3 presented to us back in his history, back in his time when he was alive. But going back to the original point, powers in this game makes the story more understandable. It gives more explanation to Beerus's character and opens a portal to Malak's personality as well, something I'm very interested in. But those were previous chapters' powers. Let's talk about the future powers. What are we going to get in chapter 4 specifically? Well, you've come to the right place. If we go to the ring altar, we can see that there are 6 powers in total, and we've unlocked 4 of them thus far, which means that we're likely to get those 2 remaining powers in chapter 4 to complete this section, because then the stage will be set for Dark Deception's finale. Chapter 5, no more learning, no more experimenting powers, it will be the final stage. But what are those powers anyway? Let's learn about them, shall we? And oh, spoilers alert for future chapters. Let's start with probably the best thing after teleportation, or at least what it seems like, and that is telekinesis. Thanks to Angelo, and I'm not sure if anyone else posted this before them, but I found through them, so shout out to them. Anyways, 5th power is telekinesis, as what it seems to be some sort of magnetic shape icon. And if you're not aware of telekinesis in general, it means the supposed ability to move objects at a distance by mental power or other non-physical means. Now, this definition is quite vague, but at the same time, it's so fitting for a game like Dark Deception, something that I was surprised has not revealed as a power yet. This was found through game files, as these were hidden and developers didn't want us to see these. Unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, we're aware of this now. I want you to focus on the magnet logo here. It seems like this power is definitely going to be used for some sort of magnetic purpose, such as removing objects from a distance to make our way, or most specifically collecting shards from a distance, as the developers got a very bad habit of putting shards at a very abnormal distance from each other. And this is not a theory either. One of the leaked audio lines from the game makes it cut and clear, and this will be used for collecting shards from a distance. Listen to this.
We're halfway there, love. Just 4 pieces to go. Don't disappoint me now. We need to get that soul shard to get the gate open. Naturally, it's behind those bars. Well, if Malak won't let us get to the shard, we'll have to make the orb come to us. I just need to make a few more changes to your brain. Don't worry. If you start to feel dizzy or you start to smell colors, just take a deep breath and wait for it to pass. If it doesn't pass, quit whining and get used to it. I'm a movie star, not a brain surgeon.
Okay, so there are a lot of things to unpack here. Number one is that she said 4 pieces to go. Now, if I'm doing my maths correct, we've done only 5 now, and there are 5 more left. So that means that the last one is either someone she's unaware of, or Malak's level, or a portal that she doesn't want us to mess with. Either way, it's very interesting how the last one is not even mentioned, not by her, by Malak, and not even in the game files. Something interesting is going on here. But regardless, the next thing she mentions is that if we need to progress Nurse's level portal, we need to get Soul Shard, which is behind the other door, and there she mentions 2 very interesting points. Number one, that there is a way in her world where we could manipulate powers so that we can move physical objects and soul shards toward us from a distance, of course using telekinesis. So in this level we'll have to use our telekinesis powers carefully to get souls through gates and behind other physical objects, which is going to be very helpful. But nonetheless, telekinesis with magnetic abilities to collect soul shards from a distance will be the nurse level, or nurse's level. We've also established from last video that we might be in mental asylum chapel or hospital, and also that nurses will be very smart in hearing. They might not see us, but they might sense us or hear us, and that's how they'll use those injections to slow us down, and we'll feel dizzy, and this is how they might catch us. Because remember, they got this giant bag on their face, and the terrifying thing would be not being able to hear them loudly. You would have to keep your senses and eyes open, get too close, and they might be able to sense us. The next thing she mentions is that if we overuse it, or if we use it time after time, we might feel dizzy. Our vision will go blur for a while, which shows that as much as we're hype that yay, telekinesis, we got powers, it also shows us that we need to use it sparingly. As with every telekinesis powers that we use, it might slow us down, make us feel dizzy, and this will give them enough time to sneak attack us or hear us. And it will not only slow us down, but make it really hard for us, the players. This could also work out for animatronics level or Joy mascots level as well, since it's quite opposite to this level. But nonetheless, I'm super excited for telekinesis, and I cannot wait to use this and go back to previous chapters to see how it works there. Using this in a nurse's level, where the idea is to be careful with sound and surroundings, this is perfect. But there's one more power that's left, and since we started the topic of animatronics anyway, this could be the final power in terms of what we know from Ring Altar. Again, shout out to Angelo. This power will be used for Joy mascot level from chapter 4, the second last level, the animatronics one. We came to the point in last video that the animatronics level will be the hardest one thus far in Dark Deception. We also said that there will be lasers and cameras involved in this, as well as a lot of references from Joy of Creation and their animatronics. Now from game files, we've learned that the last or 6th power will be called Vanish, as you can see from the icon. This icon shows that it will make us invisible for a specific period of time. If that's actually the case, this will be the massive game changer and easily S rank if used in previous chapters. Vanish will be used as 6th power for Joy mascot level in chapter 4. We're going to assume that those animatronics will be roaming around with normal walking running, but as soon as they realize that there's someone in there with them, such as us, their eyes will turn red and their speed will become instantly fast. Power boost and teleportation will be the way to go. But now Vanish and becoming invisible makes it even better. We can cover such a long distance by using these 3 powers. Of course, Vanish will take so long to revive to use it again, but it's going to be very helpful since there will be more than one animatronic roaming around, chasing us in the dark depth of pizzerias or whatever the level is going to turn out. But there's more. Listen to one of this Beerus's line from upcoming level.
Malak thinks he's being clever. Now he's got a camera watching the entrance to keep you from getting past. Does he think I'm not capable of making you invisible whenever I want? Or shrinking you to the size of a cockroach? Or turning you into a cockroach if I so desire? Well, I'll show him. Return to the ring altar. Fair warning, this might hurt a bit.
As you can hear from the audio, it seems way more fitting for this level. Cameras, that's exactly what Joy of Creation animatronics level were, using cameras. But this time, instead of using against them, it's being used against us. Malik has put a camera in this portal so that we don't go inside. It's quite clear that Malik at this point feels that we're a clear threat, no doubt about it. And he's trying everything to stop us, maybe for himself being overtaken by Beers, or maybe for our own good. But regardless, the first thing she mentions that there will be cameras hidden around and animatronics might get triggered only if you passed a camera. Of course, both works, one with you being out of sight from animatronics themselves and cameras at the same time, or just cameras triggering animatronics and they'll start roaming around freely. It's really interesting to see how this power will go in terms of animatronics, because we've only used cameras against our threat, against our enemies. But this time, it's being used against us. What a turn of events. But the second point is very, very interesting. She explains how she's capable of reducing our size or shrinking us to a cockroach level, or turning us into a cockroach. Now, that gives more than what we can chew here. This shows that we might be able to shrink or fit through small objects, which might give us an advantage in running past those animatronics and give us enough space to think our next strategy. But of course, Vanish could be taken as shrinking power as well, since using Vanish power might make you invisible from everything, like going through walls, which I don't think will be the case because that'll just make it glitchy and they don't want anyone getting stuck in the walls. But shrinking ability might not be a thing at the same time. There's a chance of size reduction, now either through this power, which I'm not very convinced of, or maybe a hidden future power for later chapter 5 levels, but we'll have to wait and see. Final thoughts would be that firstly, I want to thank Angelo for these informations, but at the same time, I want to thank you guys for amazing support right now that you're showing. Like I said, I'm super obsessed with this game, and I want to share my obsession in terms of my passion, and that is by making YouTube videos on my favorite games. Dark Deception has very interesting things coming forward. Chapter 4 Powers is definitely one of them. I cannot wait to see what lies ahead, not just in terms of gameplay mechanics or features, but story as well. I have a lot of videos planned for Dark Deception, such as the theories, explanations, tips, and tricks for beating levels and getting S ranks, so make sure to vote up in the cards. That'll really help me out. And that would do it for this video. Make sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed, and also subscribe right now to become an official member of SmackNPie. Help me get to 15,000 subscribers. We're really close, by the way, and watch these videos right here. They're going to be very interesting. Trust me when I say this, and I'll see you on the flip side. Until then, take care and peace.